a lot of it. This episode was very heavy into that. It's not to say there wasn't definitely some moments I read into, and that's what I've been doing since I started covering this.
Or some magic that happened in the middle of the Madison Square Garden.
Magic?
Like, where did she appear from?
I guess
everybody.
We're talking about Ginny, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
We'll get to it. I've been asking everybody as they come on, though, what have your thoughts been to the series up until this point? Kelly, we'll start with you on that.
I like it well enough. Like, I don't think it's the best of The Walking Dead, but I do enjoy it. I like the dynamic of Negan and Maggie together, and the city's interesting. Like, a location that we haven't seen a lot of in the past.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen any of it of at least Manhattan, and even Atlanta. When we were in Atlanta, wasn't anything near what Manhattan is. Yeah,
and the Croats, I was really finding him intimidating. Maybe until this episode, not so much, but.
Okay.
I'll get to that later.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm curious to hear more about that. Mark, how about you? What have your thoughts on the series been up until this point?
Well, so far, this is the one that I was highly anticipating, mainly for the fact that you have two key characters from The Walking Dead, two that are very much important to the story for The Walking Dead, but also the biggest character that we have within this particular show is the city itself. If you think about it, New York City itself is a character to its own. And that whole backdrop is very much important to where these characters lie. And I'm glad from what we've seen so far and how they were able to utilize it. I'm just curious of what other areas of New York we're going to get, because we've already got hinted from Statue of Liberty. We already seen Madison Square Garden, at least not just in this episode, in the past episode as well. And what other main attractions do we get? Now, mind you, when I first approached and I looked at this series as a whole, the first thing that came to mind is my favorite movie in the world, which is Escape from New York.
Yep.
And, you already have your point of view of who they're trying to rescue. Instead of the president, it's Herschel. And who do they send in? Well, it's not Snake Plissken himself, but you got Maggie and Negan, which combination could be two dastardly people. And on top of that, you have everything around it, which is the whole world of New York City, which in Escape was more or less the people that were imprisoned there. In this case, it's the zombies and everybody else that is surviving as well. So I just like that whole backdrop, and I like where it's coming from. I want to see more, but I know this is only 6 episodes, so I'm assuming that we might get another season, so eventually they could expand a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's one of the things, like you kind of touched on with your points, is that's one of the things I've been saying since, episode 1 of our coverage of this, is that one of my favorite elements of this is the city of New York as a character.
Yeah.
In the series. And I, of course, because they're showing a lot of, a number of locations, Madison Square Garden in particular this time around, that when they showed the interior this time, it's very dark and there's a lot of, a lot of obstructions in the way to be able to see like a full view of what it is. But even me, as somebody who's been inside of Madison Square, and I'm like Madison Square Garden a number of times,
same here,
almost more than I can count. I was looking at this time around being, this is not Madison Square Garden.
No,
I know they're not filming in Madison Square Garden. However,
it looks like the Brendan Byrne Arena.
No, it's the Meadowlands Arena in North Jersey. And when I found that out, and I was rewatching scenes, because I've also been in that arena a number of times.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, yep, that makes more sense. That looks more like what I know the Meadowlands Arena to be.
That's the one near Giant Stadium, right?
It's right next to them. It's right next to them.
That was the old Brendan Byrne Arena before they relabeled it. It was used to be PNC. Now it's the Meadowlands.
Now it's Meadowlands.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was interesting too. But you guys, I'm as you meant, we were talking about before we get into the episode itself. It's good to hear that you guys seem like you're at least enjoying it for what it is. And I'm with you, Mark. I kind of hope we get to see more of New York.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
it seems like after this episode, we're probably going to be done with Madison Square Garden.
Mhm.
And we still have 2 more episodes left. So it's going to be very interesting to see where they're going to be taking us location wise.
Yeah. Well, we're on Manhattan Island now. We could go to Liberty Island, Ellis Island. You also have what? Queens, Bronx, Staten Island, and
you've got the rest.
Brooklyn.
You've got 4 other boroughs
exactly
that you could go to.
Yeah, but nobody wants to go to Staten Island. Nobody wants to go to Shaolin.
I just kind of hope they go to Brooklyn at some point, just so I can use "No Sleep Till Brooklyn" as one of the transition songs on the podcast.
There you go. Well, if you go to Staten Island, you could use a Wu-Tang Clan song. So,
well, you know what's funny too. If you've listened to the past 3 episodes of our coverage of this, I'm doing all the editing for Jason.
Yeah, I know.
This is a little bit of how the sausage is made moment for people listening. I didn't just take over hosting; I took over all the editing for Jason. So all those transition songs that you hear in between during the break are chosen by me when I do the editing. And I had a whole list of songs about New York that I was going to use, even using Taylor Swift for episode 2, which I was like, it is what it is. But after last week's episode and seeing how the Croat used like zombies to make methane and using the methane to make a fuel source, I was like, how can I not use Fuel by Metallica as the transition song, which is what, if you listen to last week's, that's what the transition song was.
I knew it right away when I heard it. I was like, okay, I know where he's going with this.
Yeah. So I'm at the time that we're recording this, I haven't chosen this week's song yet. So you'll know it by the time we're done with this discussion. But that being said, let's get into the actual discussion of the episode and kind of see our thoughts, overall thoughts on everything. And Kelly, let's start with you. Are there any main points that you kind of want to throw out there to get the discussion going?
One thing I noticed was like lots of characters are hiding things from one another. You have Maggie hiding the fact that she knows Ginny's in the city.
Mm-hmm.
That she probably burned the dinosaur. I think she did. But
Negan's matches.
Yeah.
They didn't. Yeah, they still haven't revealed to us.
No, I had to go back
or not. She did it.
Oh, she did. She pulls them out at one point in one scene. She pulls them out looking at them.
No, not the matches. Whether or not she burned the dinosaur.
Oh, that's a good scene. Yeah, I wish they would.
They haven't revealed whether or not she did it. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Kelly. I didn't mean to cut you off on your point.
So I guess she's afraid it would sidetrack Negan from the mission.
Well, that's something we talked about last week. Yeah. Towards the end of the episode with the burning of the dinosaur, it kind of, if she burns it, it kind of makes her take a step towards Negan in his, because she's basically sacrificing a child for the safety of her own. Mm-hmm. In not telling Negan that Ginny is there, she's basically sacrificing Ginny.
Yeah.
And I get it. It's to not she needs Negan, so this is to make sure he's not sidetracked. But still, it's a step backwards for Maggie if she does it.
Yeah, definitely. And then you also have Negan hiding what he did to Luther.
Poor Luther.
I know. I hated how it went down. Like, what is it with Negan throwing people down? They just die. It happened, when he was helping Lydia back in the main show, and then
it's an accident.
Yeah, it was. Well, I mean, I don't think he meant to. But
no, I don't think he meant to do it either. I mean, again, when you rewatch the scene,
he's defending himself.
He's defending himself against Luther. He warns Luther flat out, like, this is not going to go down the way you think it's going to go down. And I mean, and again, as we mentioned last week's episode, he fully admits he is in the kitchen looking for weapons. And you're going to confront Negan while he's searching for weapons. Like it was Luther's mistake to even start a confrontation. But in the end, it was truly Negan just defending himself, and Luther tripped.
Yeah.
He tripped, he fell, he hit his head, and Negan put him out of his misery. I mean, that's pretty much what it comes down to. I mean, I'm sure there are others that will look at that scene differently.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I saw it.
Yeah.
But it also was needed to finish him off, but to hide the body or
I know. I
dispose of the
wondered how he did
body,
that.
and then lying about it. And it was like, well, he wasn't really all together for this mission, and he just kind of disposed of the body and hid the fact that that confrontation took place, because he's already got a mark on his head, and he doesn't know where these people stand, if they're going to turn against him regardless of Maggie's mission or what he wants to do within said mission. So he's trying to protect them as well as more of his own ass. And if you think about it,
I agree. He's again, I have it written down in my notes that like he just does not, Luther is quote unquote missing, and Negan's not stepping up and admitting what happened. Like he's totally hiding it. As you mentioned, Kelly, it's one of the things that these characters are hiding from one another. And like he's somehow moved Luther's body on his own, because Luther is like twice the size of Negan.
Yeah.
But somehow was able to move the body or hide the body and do whatever he did. It's never revealed what it is.
Maybe
But-
just shoved him in the closet or something.
yeah, but you got to follow the smell.
Oh, I'm sure the whole place doesn't smell great.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm pretty sure this is New York City in apocalypse. I'm pretty sure it already doesn't smell like
They'll
roses.
blend together.
Well, follow the cockroaches and rats.
But yeah, there's that moment where like that conversation is happening, and I'm watching, and I'm like, Negan's not stepping up, like he's not admitting what's happening. And then when you think about the situation, like, and I hate pointing this out because there are still so many people that are so much against Negan, and Jason being one of them. I mean, I'll tell you again, this is another behind the scenes. Like Jason was fully prepared to come on the season finale of this to kind of hear his thoughts about the whole series, and to also kind of transition into him retaking over the Cast of Us. He has since backed out of it because he does not like
Negan.
He doesn't like Negan. He is so far against Negan. Kristen, our friend Kristen, who's on Revisited with myself,
she hates Negan with a vengeance.
House of the Dragon with Rima, she's told me a number of times, if Negan dies, I'll come on.
Yeah,
but she has a hatred for Negan, and I get it. I
get it too.
Understand it.
Yeah, I get it too completely. My sighting on this is, all right, Robert Kirkman created this character, and the whole point behind any of these characters, look at the Governor. In the comic, the Governor was 100 times worse than what we got in the show. And with Negan, the way the comparison from Jeffrey D. Morgan to what the character looked like in the comic is completely different, because he's a hulking person in the comic, and in comparison, you look at Jeffrey and he looks like a skinny, tall dude. And the thing that came across well in the show for the character, because the character is such a great antagonist. Without a great antagonist for anything, your protagonists have nothing to battle. And that's the whole point of it. And that's the only reason why I always said I like the character, for the fact that he was the best antagonist for what was needed. Right now, this whole show is, a lot of people are seeing it as a redemption arc, but they're also bringing up everything that's despicable about Negan in the past, and everything is going to be revisiting, which we did see in this episode, but not as despicable as to what we saw in the episode. We saw Simon, spoilers, and we saw Negan in that very first scene.
And I have more about that in my notes. I don't want to dive too much into that and get off track of the point that we're on. We'll go back to that, because I do have the whole opening sequence in my notes as well. But sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. What I was just trying to get a point was, is like, do I love Negan? Hell no. I just think he's the proper antagonist, and I do give those people credit for standing by their virtues of hating the character and not wanting to watch and not wanting to be there. Some people just have a full hatred for this character, and I understand it completely, and that's why I feel they're justified in their feelings.
Oh yeah, and I don't want that to come across as I'm saying to anybody who might be listening who has that hatred for Negan, but they're still watching because they're a Walking Dead fan and they want to watch everything that The Walking Dead does. I don't want to feel like they're not justified in their hatred for Negan as well. And everybody has a right. It's something we said from the first episode when Randy was on with me, is that the writing is so well written for this series that you could see it from both sides depending on who you are, and your view on these characters.
Yeah, which is really good.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not saying I don't justify your feelings, but again, the whole aspect of Luther and Luther's what I consider an accidental death.
Yes.
Some people who have that hatred for Negan might see that in a completely different way. Going back to the point that Kelly had made about how everybody's hiding things in this particular scene with Negan, you know, from my point of view and looking at everything from Luther's death as an accident, I can kind of understand why he did not bring up what happened with Luther, because, you know, Mark, you touched on it and such.
Mm-hmm.
This is a situation where he's with a bunch of people he's literally just met. He's known them for maybe a couple days at the most. You find out that one of their own has been killed, you know, albeit even accidentally, by this man. You've lost all trust.
Mm-hmm.
And this plan goes out the window. And if you think about that in a deeper aspect, the he's lying by omission, by not telling them information. He's not flat out telling him, although he kind of did at one point, saying like, well, maybe he's off somewhere. You know, by lying by omission, by not admitting what he did and that he knows what happened to Luther, he's not doing this, in my opinion, for himself. If this plan goes to shit because of what he did, Herschel is the one that suffers.
Yeah.
And Maggie.
And Maggie, yeah.
He's not lying for himself. Oh. He's lying for Maggie.
And he's lying for Ginny, too.
Well, he doesn't know Ginny's there.
Yeah.
But he's doing this in a sense of with his contractual agreement with Maggie that Ginny goes somewhere safe.
Yeah, but Ginny's already protected at this point. In Negan's mind, she's already at Hilltop being protected.
Yes.
So I don't know if I agree that he's doing this for Ginny too. I think this is more for Maggie and Herschel.
And for himself. I mean, everything Negan does ultimately.
Yeah, there's always a little element of himself for it.
I mean,
yeah.
So,
another part of like the hiding is like Ginny. Like Ginny's hiding herself. I'm not sure why she hasn't made herself known like to Negan and why she keeps following Maggie. Like, I'm surprised she hasn't found.
I think that tops on what Ben mentioned last week when he podcasted with what was it, Onwin and Gemma?
No, Gemma and Cassie.
Oh, Gemma and Cassie. You guys were talking about how you think that Ginny was probably one of the people that attacked Negan's wife, and then he killed her.
No, not
father.
Ginny. Ginny's father.
Yeah, I know. They killed Ginny's father. Yeah.
Well, you just said we said that Ginny was one of the people. I'm like, no. Ginny was not one of the people.
I was going into Ginny's father. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is a good possibility for the fact of why he was caring for her. It was out of remorse and understanding that he did something bad himself and he's trying to make amends of it, but it just didn't work out that way.
I think we're still going to see that. That's, you know, I've made a number of theories about this series so far, you know, and the three biggest ones being one, that Herschel is not going to come along easily. I think he's going to take some convincing because I think the Croat's gotten into his head.
Yeah.
Two is the theory that I made last week, and that Ginny's father was one of the men that Negan murdered.
Yep.
And three, there's going to be a Pearlie-Negan team up because Negan was going to rescue Pearlie, which we did get that part.
Yes, we did.
this episode.
Maybe not the team up part.
Maybe not the team up.
Not a team up. It's not a Marvel team up, no.
But I did at least partially predict that at some point Negan was going to rescue Pearlie, and that's what happened. But yeah, I mean, Kelly, you bring up a good point that you're right. Ginny is basically hiding herself at this point, which I think kind of adds to my theory a little bit too, because you're right. Why would she not just make herself known to Maggie and to Negan when she's very clearly, obviously following this group that Negan is a part of? And I think a lot of that might be because there's a little mistrust there. Like,
That's
yes,
a good point.
Negan put her up to be protected, but she left that group because she doesn't trust that group because Negan recommended she stay there. So now as well, do I trust Negan enough with these people to leave me with these people? No, I'm going to leave. I'm following Negan now. Do I trust him enough to say that I'm here? So there might actually be some mistrust between Ginny and Negan.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole reason why she doesn't speak, obviously, to him.
Yeah. That could go along with that.
Well, that could be another... I was just going to say that could be another good point, too, is maybe it's not the fact that she doesn't talk. She just doesn't talk to Negan.
Correct.
Although she didn't say anything to anybody at Hilltop either.
Yes, but it's also for the fact of it's probably part of her PTSD of what she had witnessed, in which we all still, you stated it last week with Cassie and Gemma about Negan possibly killing her father.
Yeah.
And she witnessing it, and that could be due to her post-traumatic syndrome.
Possibly.
And then the final person that I put down as hiding something is the Croat, just hiding Armstrong and Herschel.
Yeah, because we didn't see Herschel at all this week.
No.
He was too busy podcasting.
We thought we'd... That one took me a second because I was like, what the hell are you talking? Oh, yeah, he's podcast from Ghostbusters. That's right. That one took me a second. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Maggie as well being one of the people hiding. And I love the fact that, again, this is a characteristic of Negan that I really like, in that he is calling out, like, Maggie is very quick to point out all of Negan's flaws and the stuff that he has done in the past, the bad stuff he has done in the past. And she's very quick to not let him forget it because she hasn't forgotten it. Yeah. But Negan is getting good at calling her out on her bullshit too. I mean, especially in particular, like, when we get to that point, because when they are having that discussion, when they're having a discussion about what happened to Luther, there's a moment when Maggie looks over at Negan and they make eye contact, and Maggie knows Negan knows something. She doesn't know exactly what it is, but she knows that he knows something. And then we get to that point later where she finds the beeswax and he's like, I can explain. And she doesn't allow him to do it. And in that conversation, he says, don't act like you never did something you needed to explain.
Yeah.
And in that moment, he doesn't know that she has something, but she has something. She's got the dinosaur.
And his matches, which is a little foreshadowing, because if you look at some of the things that we see within the episode itself, they said methane was coming up from the sewers. His matches coincidentally go missing in the very beginning of the episode, and later on we see her with it. I'm waiting for that one instance when that becomes a factor, when those matches get used in a scenario. Obviously not this episode, but later on.
Here's my question about the matches. What is the significance of the matches? Other than the foreshadowing that you just mentioned. Yeah. What's the significance of the matches? That's the one thing I couldn't figure out. I mean, like, if they had made a plan where everything was supposed to happen, and part of that plan was Negan was supposed to light something on fire so that it could be a distraction or whatever, but now he doesn't have his matches to do it. I could see that then being significant, that Maggie has his matches. But nothing like that ever happens. So
yeah, I think he just had matches and he couldn't find them. I was wondering where they were. And it's significant because she took them to burn the dinosaur.
Oh, okay. That's a good point. She had the matches already to burn
Mhm.
she took the matches from Negan to burn the dinosaur and
and he
never
was just
returned them.
noticing that they were missing.
Okay. All right.
Well,
So
that adds up. Yeah.
that does make a lot more sense. So it actually stems back from last week's episode to last week's episode.
Yeah.
The connection with the matches. Okay. Thank you, Kelly. That makes more sense.
That
You're
does
welcome.
make sense.
Mark, how about what's one of the points that you have?
I of all things too, when Negan actually does see the Croat, they're face to face. The Croat was all excited like a little kid that could appease his father. Oh, Negan, how are you doing? Oh, look what I have done. We could do all this for each other, and you could see the look on Negan's face like he doesn't want to deal with this. He's like, no, and he thought right away he wants the Marshall. He goes, no, this is about Herschel. Give me
Yeah.
the kid. And the Croat doesn't see it. He's like, the Croat, and I think in his twisted mind, because we see a little bit more of his twistedness and how he puts fear into people in this particular episode, especially the girl who's in charge of the control room of Madison Square Garden, where he was trying to show her, and he just talks about the fear of her. He's got these people freaking out over him, and it's very similar to what Negan did, but what Negan, he didn't purposely go out and kill his own people. The Croat apparently does, and the Croat was expressing to this girl of how he wouldn't kill her, and then he tries to, it's like a Pavlov's dog thing, he gives her candy at a certain point just to ease her a little bit. But you could see that the look on Negan's face, he didn't want to have that conflict or that confrontation, really. That's why it was a distance thing. And I think in the Croat's mind that the Croat thought, well, if Negan's here, I could show him what I could do and we could rule this together. And obviously by the end of that scene, we don't get that. So now the Croat, is still the Duke of New York, and Negan still is on his mission. And I think, like you said before, it's like we want to get that whole that Marshall Negan team up, and I think that's what's eventually going to happen. But the Croat has shown his true colors, I think, at this point, including not only just his people, but to everybody else.
Yeah, I can see your point as well too, and I kind of saw the scene the same way in that conversation between Negan and the Croat. He's being boisterous and he's talking about, look at what I've built my own sanctuary. It's like he's trying to impress his
Correct.
father. Yeah, he's trying to impress his father, or he's trying to impress his mentor. In that sake, look at what I've built. We had a sanctuary. I built my own sanctuary. We could rule this town together. All the things that you had mentioned too, and Negan just wants no part of it. And then, when he says, what I'm here for, and he brings out the person, it kind of made me think it's a weird comparison. But if you've ever seen the movie The Hangover,
yeah,
where they're talking to Mr. Chow, played by Ken Jeong, and they're trying to get Doug, and when they pull it, it's Mike Epps. It's not the Doug they're looking for. It's Black Doug. Because his name is Doug. It's just not the Doug they're looking for. And you kind of get that look on his face. Negan kind of has that look on his face too, like, this is not what I was looking for.
He probably thought he was long gone.
Yeah, he had no idea that Pearlie was there with the Croat. As far as Negan knew, Pearlie was dead somewhere in New York, because they left. That's how they left him.
Yeah,
they pretty much left him for dead.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it was a surprise to Negan, but a not wanted surprise. It's kind of like getting socks at Christmas. Like you opened the package and I didn't want this, and that's kind of what he got. And then he admits, like, no, I want the kid. I want Herschel. And Croat already knows this.
Yeah.
He even says, he's like, oh, I know, the Marshal told me. So in that moment, the Croat's like, as much as he wants to impress his mentor in Negan, like, he also is messing with him.
Yeah.
he's playing games with him. So it kind of becomes confusing at that point. And like, well, does he really want to impress Negan, or does he just not care? Or third option that I just thought of, he's just a psychopath.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I think it's more the third one.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I don't think he could hear anybody properly because he's missing that one ear.
But he still has the other one.
Well, and I felt like they tried to humanize him a little bit too, like with the control room scene. Like they were trying to.
Yeah, they would definitely. You could see his controlling power on his own people, and how he talks a whole bunch about how she showed so much promise and what she could do, how she surrendered, how she was able to obey and take care of and do whatever she needed. There's no need to fear me. No. And at the very end, he gives her like a toffee or something. Here you go.
So Werther's original butterscotch. I don't think that's what it was. That's just I'm picturing in my head.
It looked like saltwater taffy or something to me, but I don't know.
Could have been. You're close enough to the shore at that point. I mean,
Yeah.
You might have found some. I don't know if it's any good, but
Well, who knows?
Although I don't know if any candy would be any good at that point.
Maybe he puts drugs in it too. Like maybe he's drugging it.
Possibly.
It's knowing him.
But I mean, you can kind of see and get the hesitation in that girl's eyes in everything that he's saying, because look at what happened last week or 2 weeks ago, in that he had a guy who served dinner who ended up becoming a zombie, like a walker for a test, like swallowing a handcuff, bashing his head, and then tossing him over to throw him in a cage with Pearlie. I mean, I feel like it's at any point, and she probably knows this as well as most of the Croats people, he could flip at any point.
Yes.
And it's a matter of walking on eggshells to make sure you don't flip that switch.
Yeah. It's very unstable.
He's incredibly unstable. And I think that adds well to kind of making Negan look not so bad. Is like when you take a character like Negan, who has done the deplorable things that he has done.
Yeah.
The only way to lower him down and make him more human and more almost good for the sake of being good for the story, you need to have somebody who tops him.
Yeah.
And I think they're doing a good job with the Croat so far on doing that. My opinion. My opinion on that. For my first point, we mentioned this a little bit earlier, but now I want to go into it a little bit more detail. I want to talk about that opening. Because I was so excited to see Stephen Ogg. I loved seeing him come back for that cameo. It was very very cool It was very cool to see.
Yeah.
But we got a glimpse of that moment that Negan has already talked about. They had somebody who they said they were going to let go. The Croat didn't listen and tortured them, got the information, and found out they actually were a spy, but did it in extreme ways and actually went against Negan's call on doing this. And that was the moment where they realized, okay, this dog needs to be put down.
Yep.
Loved bringing Simon into it and Simon being that guy who was like, we need to put this dog down, because Simon himself has been a rabid dog.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We've seen that a lot throughout all of TWD towards the end during the Saviors run. And I love how he describes him, you Slavic psychopathic nut job.
I just hear him speak, and I picture Trevor from Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah,
because Stephen Ogg does the voice of Trevor, but unlike the other two characters in Michael, and I forget the other character's name for that, Trevor looks like Stephen Ogg. Like the character looks like Stephen, because you can't have that voice and not picture Stephen. So just make the character look like Stephen. I'm sure he loved that too. But because again, not to get too far off topic, but I love the fact that like he looks like Stephen Ogg and that the hair is very thin in the top, but bushier on the sides. And even when you go to like a barbershop in Grand Theft Auto 5 and change his hairstyle, like you can do with any character, the bald spot never goes away. Like it's just styled on the sides. It's hysterical. He continues to look like Stephen Wu. But again, for the words, for the whole call of having to put somebody down because they're becoming too unstable to come from Simon speaks volumes.
Yes.
Because of what we know about Simon and the character that Simon has been. But one of the other big takeaways from this whole opening scene that I think really shines a light on some of the stuff we've talked about earlier in the podcast, because we had mentioned, like, we found out last week he sent his wife and his kid away, and it was really confusing to me that why would he take on protecting another child when he sent his own away? We find out in this opening scene, and it's through Simon, that they have a rule, and it's kids are off limits.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, just think about it. If you think about it, Carl was off limits. He always threatened the idea of Carl, but I think what Negan at that point was just using or utilizing the fear within Rick at that time as a device to get Rick to do what he needed. I don't think he would ever wanted to put Carl's life in danger in any way.
Yeah, and I agree with that too. And I mean, again, like it's a line that Simon says, "Kids is a line we do not cross," and you can see the look of Negan is internally horrified at the image of this young girl in a chair, bleeding, dead. Like, he is bothered by this. Affects him.
Yeah, it still haunts him. I mean, in this episode.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. Especially when we get to that scene with Maggie and Negan in who you think might be Herschel. But like in that scene, in the opening scene, we can see how bothered Negan is by this. And it makes you realize, okay, Negan has a soft spot for children.
Yes.
He has a very big soft spot for children. And when you think about that, now it kind of makes a little more sense. Okay, now I can understand why he took another child into his protection. Now I can understand being affected by, wanting to help Maggie save Herschel. Because guaranteed, if Maggie just needed to get in there to get something and not someone, Negan would have never gone in.
Yeah.
It was Herschel is the reason why he went into that city with Maggie. Children are his soft spot. They are, in essence, maybe even his Achilles heel.
Yes. And I'm sure the Croat's going to use that to his own devices, especially with Herschel, and utilizing that as a way to get at Negan. And part of that stuff that you've been talking about Negan with kids and his soft spot for kids think about it. Negan was a high school gym teacher.
Mm-hmm.
He taught
That's a good point. Yeah,
he taught kids, even though he was like having fun on the video games and playing Xbox at that point. When we saw it in that one during the pandemic episode where we get to see who Lucille was and how that story came to be, he was playing games with them online. Yeah. But then the whole fight that broke out at the bar was with one of the kids or the students' parents. It wasn't the student, it was the student's parents. But even still, the fact that he loves kids. And he shows that with the way he respected and took care of Carl as well as Judith. We all know this.
Yeah. There's a lot that he did with Judith. Go ahead, Kelly. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I think more so with Judith, probably, because he did almost kill Carl at one point.
Nah, he's like, hey, Simon, you got a pen? And even you could see Simon's face like, where's this going? But it was really meant to institute or inflict fear upon Rick at that point to losing his own child, which I think Negan at that point knew that he wouldn't do. Not to bring up an old wound from the original TWD show.
Yeah, and in terms of Carl too, I think one of the big differences with Carl, like Judith is very obviously a child. Herschel is still very obviously a child, at least in Negan's eyes, because the last time he saw Herschel, he was a child.
Yes.
He wasn't as grown as he is now. So in Negan's memory, Herschel is still a child. Judith was a child. Carl I feel like was
older.
a little different because Carl was older.
Yes.
He kind of rode the line between child and young man. So I'm not using that as an excuse for why Negan did what he did with Carl, but I can kind of understand it a little bit more.
I mean, Carl was more of a threat to him at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could
Well,
see
he did
that
take
as well.
out a bunch of his men. So
Well, I mean, not like maybe not even physically, but mentally, Negan knew Carl was a lot older than he seemed to be.
yeah, I know. Yeah, in the show, they made it look he was like a little bit older because they had to keep up with Chandler Riggs's age and how he looked. And obviously, in the comic, at that point, Carl was supposed to be 12 when he met Negan.
That's what puberty does to actors. That's also, although it's not the same actor that's playing Herschel now as opposed to the television series.
Yeah.
But that's a big difference in Herschel too, because we even said that a couple episodes ago in that scene with Maggie and Herschel in his bedroom. We're like, Maggie does not look old enough to be the mother of a teenage boy like that. That's also just because Maggie is ageless and flawless and wonderful. Oh no, sorry, I'm confusing her with Lauren Cohan. Sorry,
I was gonna say.
I'm confusing Maggie with Lauren Cohan. Sorry. Yeah, so I mean that's really one of the things I wanted to bring up for my main points was that opening. I mean, it was a very quick opening too. At least before the credits. The cold open was very quick, but then we get more of it when we come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was afraid it was going to be a whole episode of a flashback, and I really did not want that. I'm glad.
I'm with you on that one too, because I remember like when it happened and we saw that, and I was like, oh, I'm like, is this going to be all about like going back to Sanctuary and like the past the Croat? And I'm like, at first I was excited for it, and then I'm like, wait, we only have 6 episodes of this series,
and this is number 4.
And I don't really need to revisit.
And it's only about 45 minutes long.
Yeah, not even. I think it was like 41 this week. 41 or 42. So I was excited at first too at the prospect of it, and then I'm like, no, I don't want this because we only have 2 episodes left after this. So like if they threw a entirely flashback episode into a 6-episode run, you don't have enough story to tell, which kind of weakens the series. So I'm glad they didn't do that, and we got what we got this episode.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, with me, I know there's a lot of people that have their own predictions on where the show is going to lead and where it's going. You guys made a point and had a good discussion regarding about the show's title and the fact that it is, Negan and Maggie as the leads in it. Now,
but their names are not in the title.
Their names are not in the title. Yep. So if one of them leaves or is dispatched in any way, the show could still come back and then have that same title and then continue on.
Even if they're both no longer in the series at the end.
Yes, they could easily
continue.
They could easily have it within people who are still suffering within the city itself, who they encounter, just like similar to like what they've done with Fear. But I'm sure the show would do far better than what Fear was doing.
I mean, this could turn into a series that's totally led by Amaya and Tommaso.
That I would not put it past them.
I could see them absolutely taking the lead of this series after Maggie and Negan leave, if that's what happens.
But my feeling is like this with the whole talk about Statue of Liberty, the Statue of Liberty in the opening credits, showing that, and Negan's talk about the Statue of Liberty, it makes me feel like there's going to be like some sort of like standoff at the very end at the Statue of Liberty.
Oh, dude, you're going back to a whole other thing I predicted in episode 1.
Yeah, I know.
Of this is I mentioned that whole story with that whole story that Negan tells about the Statue of Liberty and his father. I was like, he's going to see the Statue of Liberty at some point while he's there.
It's going to be like the X-Men movie. They're all going to be at the Statue of Liberty.
Oh God, don't. Yeah. Okay. So it's so interesting that you bring that up because there is a line of dialogue. This is totally coincidental that you brought this up, but I thought of it And it's heavily in the news right now. Wolverine is heavily in the news right now because they just released the images of him wearing the yellow suit from Deadpool 3. But there is a scene in the first X-Men movie where oh God, what is her name? The one that can change shape.
Mystique.
Mystique has been taking the form of different people. So when Cyclops and Wolverine are face to face and Cyclops needs to know it's the real Wolverine, he's like, how do I know it's really you? And Wolverine goes, you're a dick. And he's like, all right. That's a line that is actually used in this episode with Negan.
It was my favorite line.
I totally just made the connection between that and X-Men. And
they're falling into some sort of format that works for other films and scenes. It's
totally coincidental that worked out, but you totally just made me think of that. Because that's one of my favorite scenes in X-Men is when he's like, how do I know it's really you? And Wolverine is, you're a dick. All right. And then we get that moment, because I'm with you, Kelly. That was one of my favorite lines of this here episode too. It's like Negan rescues Pearly, saves his life. He could have very easily let him fall. And what's Pearly do? The first opportunity is he holds the gun at him and quotes off the law that he's chasing him. And Negan's just like, you're a dick. And I could not help but laugh at that. Not just because it's a funny line, but because I'm absolutely with him in that moment. Like I just saved your life, and now you're going to try and arrest me. You're a dick.
Yeah.
But it was so fitting of Negan to use that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm with you too, Kelly. That was one of my. I have two favorite lines, but I'll get to my other one when we start talking about notes and something else, because the other one's a little more subtle, but it made me laugh when I thought about it a little bit more. But Kelly, I think that brings us back around to you again. If you have any more points that you wanted to bring up for this.
Yeah, I'll just add a little bit about the Croat, because I talked about how he was real intimidating, like in the first few episodes I found. Mm-hmm. But this one, I felt like he was more like neurotic, and I don't know. He's still creepy, but he didn't seem as scary to me as he had in the previous episode, probably.
Well, I think that kind of goes along a little bit more with what you were saying earlier about how they almost tried to humanize him.
Yeah, it's like they tried to make him a father figure to the girl, but then views Negan like kind of as a father figure.
Yeah. I use the word mentor, but I think father figure almost seems a little bit more, because even in the moment in the flashback where he's torturing the girl to get the information, there's a part of you that can almost kind of see it as in like he did that too to try and impress Negan. Yeah, like I went against Negan.
Yeah, he wanted his approval.
Yeah, I went against his word, but look at what I did.
Yeah,
and I got this information. Like it still worked. Look at what I did, and. Yeah, it seems like he does. He's seeking approval from Negan until he's chasing him.
Yeah. And I guess I don't want the villain humanized in this series. Like we have enough confusion with Negan of whether he's good or bad, or whether we should like him or root for him.
Well,